Hello, everyone. It is a true pleasure to be part of the Global Happiness Fest. Sadly, things aren't perfect on our planet today, but that doesn't mean happiness is irrelevant. Rather, the opposite is true. It's our mission here, in my opinion, to help everyone find happiness even in tough times. I'm Michal Ben Zvi Sommer, a serial explorer of unknown lands. I believe the human mind is one of the most mysterious, fascinating land to explore. As a clinical psychologist, I dove into the endless mission of getting to know people and how their mind and soul works. My path to entrepreneurship started 2 years ago, with all my insight, understanding, and experience merged with technology to make more people happy. Even though I love my office with the tissue box and all, I feel that the mission I have to help people find their happiness should be more scalable and accessible. But we will get to it later. Let's be honest here. How many of you think that technology is happiness' worst enemy? This thought might have crossed your mind when you saw your child failing to notice her best friend's need for attention while scrolling through social media. Perhaps that was the time you saw your friend struggling with a tough online dating world. You completely felt this way after another unproductive day at work when a million of notifications distracted you and made you feel useless and empty. While it is true that technology may be negatively affecting our well-being, I would like to point out that it is also one of the most effective ways to bring happiness into our lives. If you close your eyes for 1 minute and imagine a world where you had to attend a concert in order to listen to music, that would be the only way to listen to music. Wouldn't that be awful? While there are undoubtedly bad tech inventions, I would like to invite you to open your mind today to all the wonderful things technology has brought into our lives, including deep inner happiness. My purpose in this short talk to neutralize a big trap. Let's call it the happiness versus pleasure trap. Although these two seems to be closely related, they're actually more like two distant cousins. They never get along on a family gathering, wondering how two individuals with the same genetic heritage can be so different. Well, maybe joy and happiness have a gene in common, the positive feeling it gives us. So what sets them apart? Psychiatrist and neuroscientist Professor Yoram Yovel, the happiness guru as we call him, shared 3 tips to help people be happier. 1, happiness is not a miracle, but rather something to work on. Few people are genetically happy. The rest of us need to devote time and effort making ourselves happier. So go ahead and work on your happiness, but make sure your efforts are in the right direction. 2, pleasure and happiness are not the same. Pleasure is an essential ingredient of happiness, but by all means, enjoy it. But remember that because of the way the pleasure circuits function in our brain, maximizing pleasure will never lead us to sustained happiness. 3, most of our happiness ultimately comes from meaningful things we do in life and from our meaningful relationships. Focus on that then. To understand how technology affects our moods, let's take Professor Yovel's wise advice. It was a few years ago when Candy Crush was the hottest app on the App Store. I remember how I looked forward to the end of my therapy session so I could crush as many candies as I can as soon as my session was ended. Obviously, I was not very pleased to hear the door buzzer telling me that the next client is entering my office. This is a great example of how technology can provide pleasure. It is the challenge of the game and the reward we receive when we beat it that releases the rewarding endorphins in our brain. This is pure pleasure. We feel the same way when 100 people likes our new Instagram photo within a minute of posting it. Where is the problem then? That feels great, isn't it? Pursuing pleasure is natural urge. When we consume these pleasure boosters regularly, our mind gets used to high level of endorphins. So we must increase the amount of frequency of the behavior to maintain the high level of pleasure. By the way, this is how addiction is defined scientifically. As with any addiction, it doesn't make us feel good about ourselves. When the effect wears off, we feel empty and depressed. Its rewarding effect lasts only a short time. Taking you back to your struggle of viewing technology as a way of bringing happiness, it was probably because you imagined all those people around you doom scrolling through social media, candy crushing, or even watching porno, ultimately avoiding life itself. I agree with you. And that is why, after multiple attempts, I removed Candy Crush from my iPhone and started feeling happy again when the next client entered my office. Then how can technology enable happiness? I would like to focus on two meaningful ways that tech promotes happiness. The first is to democratize knowledge and services, and the second is to maintain meaningful relationships. Everyone talks about how the internet makes all knowledge and information available to all. We are at such a different level of knowing now since the internet is there for us, even with the understanding that not all of the people have access to it, and several billions have monitored the access, as in China. Here's why I think knowing leads to happiness. I agree with Professor Yuval that happiness has to do with our ability to live our lives in accordance with our core values. When we are able to prioritize what matters to us and to follow this compass when navigating through life's challenges, we feel happy. Our ability to know what matters and what to pursue depends on information, skills, and support from experts and peers. The internet provides access to all of this. Here's an example. Too many women, faces sexual harassment at work. The hashtag #MeToo campaign helped them realize they're not alone, that it's not their fault. The campaign empowered them and therefore allowed them to confront or sue their offenders. In a world where they felt objectified and humiliated, that gave them a sense of control and power. The feeling of happiness, then, is not just about feeling pleasure or even joy, but about feeling like we are the captains of our own boat and knowing enough to steer it safely in the right direction. According to Professor Yuval, a sense of love and caring for others, as well as receiving it from them, are two significant factors in a happy life. The human tendency to be socially connected gives us a sense of belonging and meaning of our existence. My second point discussion is a burning one. What does technology do to people's social ability? Are we becoming less attached to each other? Are we settling ourselves with shallow communications such as likes and smiley emojis and stop pursuing meaningful and deep relationships? Do online dating makes us less romantic and less skilled in courtship? Are we physically less affectionate and prefer to send virtual loving gestures than feel the warmth of a genuine hug? It is true that all these are painful points. But technology has also facilitated our connection and attachment when reality separates us. Often, in a globalized world, we're separated from those we love and care the most. My daughter has turned 18 and is about to live her dream by going to American college as a student athlete. She will pursue her dream, as we discussed, a good way to feel happy. But she will be far away from her old friends and family, including me, unfortunately. I would probably be very miserable without the technologies that will allow us to communicate daily via video chat and other technologies. She will be happier too, I assume. Due to technology, our meaningful relationship can last and further develop. Another example, 12 years ago, I left New York City and returned to my homeland. It enabled me to provide support and care to my elderly mother. Despite the high price tag to that, it felt meaningful and made me happy to do it. However, my clients at my private practice in New York were devastated for the impending termination of therapy. I offered them the option of meeting me online. It was Skype back then. This was something unheard of back in the days. And with some hesitations, some of them accepted my offer. So we were able to continue our therapy process for a long time after I moved out of the country. Our connection and their well-being were maintained through technology. If we use technology for immediate gratification, such as likes, our deep need for meaningful relationship is compromised. But technology also allows us to overcome big hurdles that our globalized world creates and stay connected and therefore happy. Obviously, COVID-19 took this whole thing to the next level. Humans usually gather together to protect themselves when threatened. Pandemics, by their nature, force humans to move apart, to avoid getting together and helping each other. When people needed help the most, they were isolated and suspicious towards each other. There was severe disruption to their daily routine, and their support network was mostly unavailable. Communication through technology has become almost the only way to keep in touch with family and friends. My Zoom conference attracted thousands of therapists who wanted to change their practice into an online one. Clients could get the care they needed exactly when they needed it the most, when they were anxious, depressed, lonely, and isolated. This is what I call warm technology. Innovative apps and new inventions have taken this trend of a warm technology one step further. BetterHelp, Talkspace, and more created platforms for therapist-client communication. Interestingly, some offered a chat as a major communication between clients and therapists, spread out during the week rather than one long face-to-face interaction. One may argue that this is again more shallow interaction, and they may be right. But at the same time, this is a comfort zone for many young people who wouldn't care for a full hour intervention. And sometimes, if you can't beat them, join them, or they will be left without support. Another interesting trend is creation of digital communities to support people with similar concerns. With human facilitators, people meet regularly and discuss their concerns and challenges with peers and professionals. Apps like Peanuts, digital community for moms, Circles for online group therapy, and Crew, women's circle communication app, started to gain popularity at the app stores since COVID-19 started. Taking it one more step further, my partners and I developed and recently launched a life coaching app for women named Val, an app especially designed for women who would like to make significant changes in their lives. Val invites them to join a group of peers with the same goals and embark together on a guided journey that helps them achieve personal changes. The Val app is promoting women's happiness by helping them to live their life by their values. It gets them engaged in a small circle of women for support, motivation, and a sense of belonging. And last but not least, Val's journey is an automated one, and therefore it's accessible for every woman everywhere with any budget. It democratizes life coaching services. By learning about all those warm technology applications, you can see how technology can become a transformative tool towards happier human existence. I hope that this short talk has helped you to look at the interface of technology and happiness in a positive, fresh way. Have a happy day, all of you.